It's just Russia, again, interfering in international airspace with other aircraft. I think this is baiting. I think a pilot made a mistake. They were trying to, like Lauren said, intercept, which means escort and see what's going on. But when you clip an aircraft to cause it to either land or crash, then you've got a different situation right now. Yes, Russia has certainly been embarrassed in the Black Sea with the sinking of several vessels by a country that doesn't have a navy, that's Ukraine. But certainly when you're interfering with international aircraft in international airspace, that's not purposeful. That's baiting and it's interception. This is not something that where, again, Mr. Putin is trying to puff up his chest a little bit and says, see what I can control in the Black Sea. These Reapers were more than likely not only looking for intelligence, but also overwatching some of the grain fleets that are going through embargoed territory out of Ukraine into the Bosporus and up the Danube Canal. So these are things that are all parts of this. Again, all this is conjecture on my part, what that Reaper was doing there. But certainly when a Russian aircraft interferes, clips it, and knocks it out of the sky, that's a little bit more serious. And we haven't seen one of those things happen since this war began.
I'm pretty sure, Brianna, they're going to respond pretty calmly to it. I think they will denounce it, but it's an unmanned aircraft, and that means that fortunately there are no casualties. And I'm sure that President Biden is going to be thinking that what he's trying to avoid here is, of course, is an escalation with the Russians. Remember, his first goal in this war has been help the Ukrainian. His second goal in this war has been avoid escalation and anything that could lead to World War III. Now, we've had surveillance craft taken down before. The most famous case in modern times was a Chinese collision with a manned American surveillance craft in international waters. As in this case, the Chinese pilot ended up being killed in that incident, and the Americans survived but were taken captive for a while, eventually returned to the United States. This does not rise quite to that level because it's unmanned, but it nonetheless tells you that the Russians are now willing to take more risks to push back on the American involvement in the war. And the question is, where does that end? Think about the more recent case of the balloon, really another kind of surveillance vehicle that was over U.S. territory, and China complained when the U.S. took it down. But of course, in that case, it was clearly over U.S. territory. The key part here is this was in international waters. One of the big questions that Mark raises here, and that you do as well, is what's the level of intention? In other words, did Putin himself order this? Did the Russian military order this? Was this a Russian pilot who saw an opportunity and was sort of acting on his own? We may not know that, or it may take us a while to go figure that out. My guess is that right now the administration will denounce it, but that you won't see them take a similar action. And the reason for that is pretty clear. Putin has until now been pretty cautious about keeping the war inside Ukrainian territory.